Challenger!
Hey, Prince Rana here, and thank you for dropping by. For those of us who likes to either debunk or laugh, or both, towards all the flat earth shenanigans, well, we have seen many stupid things. We had Anthony Riley, who does not understand triangles, Nathan Oakley, who has trouble changing meters to kilometers, Nathan Thompson, who can't do any math if the unit is in miles rather than kilometer, Adam Ife or Level Earth Observer, not understanding difference between elevation and distance. The list is endless. A card should be popping up right now to another video of mine, Flat Earth Stupidity Part 1. Link would be in description if you want to laugh at some world-class stupidity. Even earlier today, we had Flat Earth Fokker on a live debate with FTFE, where Makhan said degree is the same as distance. And then we have MultiT0mt0m. For some reason, I think this guy may just be the dumbest of them all, with his recent video, Day and Night on Flat Earth. Well, I do have to thank him, as he gave me a chance to play with Blender a bit more. I do have a basic tutorial on my channel if you want to model a pretty earth yourself. With all my plugs done, let's jump into the video, shall we?
So there I was on 24/7 Flat Earth Discord Live channel, happily chatting away, and this dipstick comes in and started to go at me. Kept typing, repeating, the Terminator line, the Terminator line, the Terminator line. I thought, what the fuck are you on about, man? You on about the T-8000 series, Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I thought, what a dipstick. He thinks the Terminator line only works on the globe. No, it's the opposite actually. It only works on flat Earth. So I went on the World Wide Web, and started to do some research, and I couldn't believe my eyes. You're not going to believe this. Those heliocentric gatekeepers, timeAndDate.com, they have the truth in plain sight. On the day and night map, they show exactly how day and night works on a flat Earth.
Oh great, see what just happened? Damn it! Time to get my soldering iron out, I guess. With my feeble attempt of joking aside, I mean, I can never be as funny as MultiT0mt0m. It takes a genius to be this dumb. This guy is way ahead of his time. Oh, sorry, I meant to add the qualifier, if he was born 3000 years ago. Oh no, I just insulted Egyptian civilization. Maybe 6000 years ago? Hopefully that is safer. My first thought was, MultiT0mt0m does not know what a Terminator line is. What a surprise. To be fair, maybe many people do not know what it is, but from complete ignorance to their type of research and coming to the conclusion, actually it only works on flat Earth, is a level of utter dumbness that is truly mind-boggling. MultiT0mt0m, this is for you. This is CGI. Let's start with flat Earth, shall we? A couple of weeks ago, another flat Earth channel, Absolutely Flat Earth Vodka, tried to explain day and night on flat Earth. Being lazy, I would just use the render that I created to debunk it. To make it easier to explain, I chose an equinox. Now I'm pretty sure MultiT0mt0m doesn't know what that is. And he might think I'm talking about the 4th studio album by French electronic musician and composer Jean-Michel Jarre, released in December 1978. Who am I kidding? this is a bit far-fetched. So, MultiT0mt0m, an equinox is commonly regarded as the instant of time when the plane of Earth's equator passes through the geometric center of the Sun's disk. This occurs twice each year, around 20th March and 23rd of September. In other words, it is the moment at which the center of the visible Sun is directly above the equator and day and night are of equal length. This also means everyone on the same longitude experiences sunrise and sunset at the same time. The reason for choosing this date was so I could draw that red line from the center of your flat Earth to any point at the circumference, and that would be a longitudinal line. For any other time of the year, that Terminator line would not be parallel to longitudinal line due to the tilt of Earth's axis. Do you see how the light can never fall in a straight line? Unless, of course, I put a shade that rotates with the sun. Hey, maybe that is what happens, right? An invisible vortex of some sort. Moving on to reality. Now, you don't need a 3D modeling software to see this effect. You can simply take any spherical object like a ball and have a single light shine on it, preferably at night with no other light source. And you would see how the side facing the light is lit. The side facing away from the light is dark, and the line created by the lit and unlit side, that is the Terminator line. On screen, you're seeing a 3D model showing the same. Now to explain the hardest part. Suppose we want to show this entire sphere in one go. That brings us to the problem of displaying a 3D object on a 2D plane. Look at the screen. We have a text, "Flat Earthers are stupid," wrapped around the sphere. So at no point you can see the whole sentence. It is just not possible, even with a magnificent and glorious Nikon P1000. This part was hard to model, but I think I nailed it enough to show my point. To be able to see the whole thing, well, the term we use is called projection. There are many types of projection, and by virtue of trying to project 3D to 2D, compromises have to be made. Every single type of projection has some kind of error or inaccuracies. I'm pretty sure I have a video explaining different types of map projection. There are pros and cons. I think that was when I was debunking some other flat earther on the ridiculous claim of United States Geological Survey only using Mercator projection, which apparently proves flat Earth. By the way, Mercator projections or variant of it is one of many different projection types. This projection was presented by a Flemish geographer and cartographer Gerardus Mercator in 1569 and became the standard map projection for navigation because it is unique in representing north as up and south as down everywhere while preserving local directions and shapes. Problem with Mercator is it does not show true distance or sizes of continents, especially near the north and south poles. So if you would apply that projection, this is what we would get. And as we know and see, distances and size are distorted. Do you notice how it looks different? Now, how dare you guys claim this Mercator projection as a flat Earth map is beyond me. The only reason this makes sense is because it is a 3D sphere. Please, I'm begging you, make a model that at least solves the sun issue, then we'll look into Polaris and Southern Cross. Hell, I'll throw in season for free if you can achieve which is mentioned.
Look at the size of the sun and its position. Why would they put a small sun on top of the Earth? Well, the globalists will argue that it's for illustrative purposes and That's a valid point, but what they're showing here is reality.
Oh, the sheer dumbness. Okay, let me make a prediction. If I check at equinox, I predict the sun icon would be over the equator. Does anyone want to make a bet with me? So let's check, shall we? Oh dear, what a surprise. MultiT0mt0m, the lesson here is that sun icon is to indicate the position where sun is directly overhead for that particular date. Now, time to blow your mind. Are you ready? This is possible with our reality and model. Given location, elevation and sun's angle, we can calculate date and time. It is quite simple. Suppose we know the day and want to know the time. In that case, we can calculate declination angle. This is rather easy. Our delta value is 23.45 degree times cos of bracket 360 divided by 365 times value of d plus 10, where d is the ordinal date and is 1 at January 1st. Once we have that, our angle would be... Okay, I get it. This is way too difficult. Instead, let's start by computing the Julian day. You have a given longitude L, which gives us n number of days since Greenwich noon as n equal to L minus 280.486 divided by 0.9856474, giving us a Julian day as n plus 24.51545. Finally, we can convert that to universal time. Now, I appreciate that it is still too difficult to follow. So allow me to simplify it a bit more using what I know best, programming. If delta is equal or greater than 0, then date is 21st of March plus number of days, which is day difference between 21st of June and 21st of March, divided by Earth's axis tilt times delta. If less than 0, then similar thing but using different magic numbers. What are these magic numbers? Well, 21st of March is March equinox or northward equinox, when the subsolar point appears to leave the southern hemisphere and cross the celestial equator. 21st of June is summer solstice in northern hemisphere, where northern hemisphere is at its greatest tilt toward the sun. Then 21st of September is September equinox or southward equinox, when the sun appears across the celestial equator heading southward. Finally, 21st of December. You guessed it, winter solstice in the northern hemisphere, where southern hemisphere is at its greatest tilt toward the sun. Finally, delta is the current angle between the ecliptic plane and Earth's equator plane. If you measure the sun's height at astronomical noon, then delta simply is height minus 90 degrees minus your latitude. Do understand that this approach do not include precession, nutation and such. Also, as the Earth takes about 365.25 days on average to go around the sun, equinox would fall on different date. This code is using a hard-coded value for those days, so there is a bit of an error margin there. But even this beats the hell out of your non-existing model, and just claiming that it works on flat Earth doesn't really work. By pure math and or modeling, we have proved many times over for it to be the case. MultiT0mt0m, please let me know if I need to dumb it down even more.
Also, look at the moon on the night side of the Earth. Now, the moon is slower, much slower in its orbit than the sun. So sometimes you will see both the sun and the moon in the daytime because they're differing orbits. Sometimes the moon catches up with the sun or vice versa. So it can only happen on a flat Earth.
One of these days, you guys would actually realize the amount of bullshit you spew.
Globalist dickheads still believe that a small and local sun will light up the whole of the Earth. No, it doesn't. As depicted here, the sun only lights up parts of the Earth because it's not powerful enough to light up the whole of the Earth. This is how night and day works in reality.
Busted many times over. Apart from what you saw, I also have some other videos showing why small and local sun does not work. Link in description if I remember.
Thank you very much.
Oh no, thank you for providing us with such great material. Finally, I'm sure many flat earthers would say that modeling does not prove anything. Well, I studied computer systems engineering, and one of the things we did was modeling impact on a moving vehicle and what would happen to the people inside. Most things that we take for granted are first simulated. Only once it goes through the simulation, we make a small scale when possible. From bridges, automobile, aircraft to high-rising building. Apply physics simulation to understand what air turbulence would do among other tests, and that is before even a single brick is laid. So when you say modeling does not mean anything, you guys just show your lack of understanding. What a surprise. Not. Well, that was a fun video. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and maybe enough to leave a like, comment, and maybe share the video around. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so. It will help me bring more content to you and would be greatly appreciated. Thank you once again. Wherever you are, have a safe day. Signing off.
Like you, we are one tribe.